Right, so we have plotted them all now, yes? Now that would also help us answer our question here, saying, is it linear? Because look at your points on your graph. Do they look like they're in a straight line?
Yes.
They should be in a straight line. Yeah? So for this case, remember we said that you may actually want to know how many litres are in there at 1.5 minutes or 3.5 minutes. So you should join up your points now. So for this one, you should join up the points with a ruler or any straight edge. Make sure it's laid on there correctly and then join those lines, join those points up. Yes, and you can extend it, or perhaps should extend it to the 0.
Does it go right to the 0?
Yeah.
To the corner.
It's not even.
It doesn't go right to the corner, it goes to the 10.
Oh, right, yes, that's what I mean, yes.
Oh, it's not.
Sorry, not what I mean, but yes, that's perfect. But it hits the graph, yeah. So then it says, is it sensible to join the points? So yes, it is.
Why?
Because you may want to know how many litres there are in between 2 and 3 minutes. Okay? So before, when we talk about term numbers, it was just term number 2 or term number 3. But we might actually want to know how many litres are in there at 2.5 minutes. So it was sensible to do that this time. Now it then says, for every increase of 1 minute, what is the change in litres? So as each minute increases, what is our increase? Abby?
15.
Good, 15 litres. So we're going to write 15 litres. So so this is part E. For every time increase of 1 minute, what's the change in L? That would be 15 litres.
Okay, then I said plus 15.
Sure. F, it says, in filling the tank, what amount is fixed? Now, think about how we were filling our table in. Was there anything that was always the same in how we were filling our table in? What was the same each time, Georgie?
We always add 10 times 15.
We always had the 10 litres, didn't we? Yes? So that's what we call a fixed amount. So what amount is fixed? And that would be 10 litres. So we're going to write 10 litres. And you may want to put in brackets that was in the tank before. So what amount is fixed? It's 10 litres. And that's the petrol that was in the tank before we started filling it up. And what amount is variable? What do we think? Which is the amount that varies? That's not really the amount that varies. It's not the amount that's variable. Well, it's more the litres added to the tank. Okay, so that's the bit that's changing. It's the amount added to the tank. So there was 10 litres in the tank to start with, and then the amount we're adding to the tank is the bit that's going to vary. And they've then said, find the number of litres of petrol in the tank after 1.5 minutes. So we can use our graph to do this. So to find 1.5 minutes, you find between 1 and 2.
Oh wait, Miss Harrison.
Yeah.
What's the amount variable?
So the amount variable is the petrol being added to the tank.
Would it be 5 plus 5?
Well, it's going to be 15 times the number of minutes, but what they mean is just which part of it is variable. So you'd say the amount of petrol being added to the tank. So the 10 litres is what was in there before.
I don't know. How do we find
So this is where you have to use some common sense, Addie. So if you were in this situation, you knew that there was going to be 10 litres in the tank. Yes?
But what does variable mean?
Variable means changes. It varies.
So it would be 60. That's not like you did not like 12.
No, I really don't feel very well.
So it'd be 60.
What would be 60, darling? 1.5 minutes?
No, for the amount being added to the tank.
No, you would say the amount added to the tank, the petrol being added to the tank. Maybe let's just go to bed early. The amount fixed is the amount of petrol in the tank beforehand. So that's the 10 litres. And then how are we going to find the number of litres in the tank after 1.5 minutes? So you need to use your graph. So you find between 1 and 2 minutes, so exactly halfway. And you need to read which value you're going to have. 32, okay? Well, now each of your graphs may appear to give a slightly different answer because you need to check your scale carefully. Now,
That's 35.
okay, so you need to look at your graph, and what's going to happen is that you should have a graph that kind of looks like this. So here's my value for 1, here's my value for 2. If I wanted to know where 1.5 was, I would draw a vertical line up till it hits that line and read across this number.
I got 35 on mine. Yeah. 34. I got 32. 34. Yeah, I got 32.
So now, when we're doing this, we need to be as accurate as possible, which is why sometimes, Georgie, having a minuscule graph is not advantageous.
I got 32, but I used my calculator.
Well, you should get 32.5.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I forgot to add the point. I got 30,
So, ladies, here, you should be getting somewhere between 32 probably and 35 would be accepted. Maybe between 30 and 35 would be accepted, but that's quite a push depending on how.
My calculator is 32.5.
But we should probably use our graph to help us.
My calculator is better instead of
Well,
I like it better. See, it's nicer.
all right, now we are going to talk more about these graphs next lesson. Okay? So for now, can you make sure that you've got everything sorted?